Oh man. This series has the potential to be so much better than it is. But for some reason, it just keeps getting held back from reaching that greatness. What's up, everyone? It's your boy Infrar-Ed. Welcome to the Scout Reports. Today I bring you an anime review of Chuki Game, Episode 7. I really don't know how to start this off. I don't know how this review is gonna go. Because for me to say the same thing over and over every week is just gonna be redundant. And that's the fact, and I'm gonna go into it anyway, that if they took just a little bit more time to develop the relationships and the characters that we're introduced to in these episodes, this series could be so much better. I can see why so many people have dropped this series right now. Of course, I'm gonna go down with the ship. I'm gonna cover it until it ends. But after it kind of redeemed himself last week, this week, it fell right back into the same flaws that it had with the episodes prior to it. Even if it did have a more likable agent, we got that 2 weeks in a row. We got an agent that we got to have a little bit more of a connection to. We had a little bit more flair and personality as far as dealing with people. But Chuki Game just continues to fall into that same format of everything just coming to an abrupt end. And it was cool, the first few episodes to get that aha. But now it's like you expect it. You see a story, you see it play out, and then at the end it's going to be some type of aha. This person just out of nowhere was the key to everything. But without further ado, let's get down to the breakdown. So the episode starts off, we're in Honolulu, Hawaii. That's the locale this week. As we see our agent of the week on the ship, looking clean, straight up in a white suit. And he is the agent with the longer hair in the intro, the one that actually looks different than everybody else. That's what we're kicking it with this week. However, you know how the format of Chuki Game is. Before the episode starts, we see some German troops holding people at gunpoint on the ship, and the ship is on fire. And they pretty much say don't leave any evidence as they execute everybody on the ship and then burn the ship down. Then we fast forward to where we are on this ship right now with our agent looking around doing a crossword puzzle, and he's trying to figure out some of the words, and one of them that he found was Poseidon, which the key or the phrase for it was God of the sea. So he was able to figure that out. Ironic that he was on a boat too. So while that's going, he hears a woman yelling stop as a dog is running away, and he goes over to see what's going on. As the lady picks up her daughter's scared, and she says, the runaway dog startled her. So our agent, he blows his whistle. He does a whistle, it makes these dolphins come up and start jumping, which calms the kid down, puts the kid at ease, and now she's all happy. And he was asking what was going on. Again, she did say that the dog startled him. However, once they found that out, he looks over to where he was sitting and see a man looking at the crossword puzzle that he was doing. He goes over to the man and questions what he was doing at this table, and this guy's by the name of Jeffrey Morgan. He says, I couldn't help but notice that you were doing a crossword puzzle, and I love crossword puzzles. So he's elated that someone's actually taking a look at this, and he says, really? Well, you can help me out here. I can't figure this two in particular out. One is, it ends with an A, and I can't figure out what that one is. The other puzzle that he was trying to find out is, I believe that it wasn't Poseidon, but it was something along the lines. Anyway, I can't remember what the second one was, but the main one that he was trying to figure out was the one that ends in A. And we also found out that our agent of the week name is Osamu. So he introduced himself to Jeffrey Morgan. Morgan helps him figure out the puzzle, and he finds out that the missing word is called Enigma. Now this automatically triggers something in our agent, as this is pretty much what he's looking for. The Germans have a decryptor device called Enigma that this Morgan guy knows of. He says this device is like a typewriter communication Morse code type of mashup device, was distributed. They had a few numbers that the Germans had, and it was capable of 200 trillion different combinations. And it would be very hard to decipher it if they used that unless you had a direct copy. If you had a copy of something and you put it over it, you'll be able to find the flaws in it. But you can decode any type of puzzle or any type of message if you had the right hint, similar to a crossword puzzle. So these two kind of hit it off very well with that, and he was able to find out with the Enigma thing with the help of Mr. Morgan here. However, our agent notices something's not right with this guy, as always, he was briefed before he got to the ship by Yuki that there is a British intelligence agent on the ship. and he went by the professor. And this is who Morgan is. And we find out Morgan is a British spy. He's not American as he was posing to. And Yuki told him not to let this man enter Japan. He was a British spy, and he's sent directly to the crypt codes. So right there, our person who just showed up out of nowhere and helped him solve his puzzle is a person that he was looking for all along, and his mission was to find this person, as well as this Enigma device that's being distributed, because anyone that was out there, it seems like the Germans have already apprehended it. We find out that Jeffrey Morgan's real name is Lewis McLeod, and he tries to attack our agent. However, he fails miserably as he tries to strike him in the neck. Our agent takes him, disarms him, and puts his finger to his neck and says, "I don't need a knife. A fingernail is all I need to take out your artery." So he's caught. The gig is up. Morgan is perplexed with how our agent was able to find out who he is, because he had facial surgery. So he had a complete makeover, so no one should be able to figure out who he was. Of course, with the help of Yuki, our agent also says that he was able to deduce who he is because he had a photo of how he looked previously, and he still had some type of distinguishing features from his last face. Also, his high interest in crossword puzzles is also what tipped him off. So now that that is revealed, our agent is saved, or not our agent, I'm sorry, Morgan is saved by an invading ship that's coming of British troops. And thinking that he got away, Morgan decides to take a toast, only to find out that he was poisoned by cyanide, because he thought he was safe because he's a British spy and the British was coming. However, when he took a drink of that glass, he just choked up and died out of nowhere. But he was on the run for someone as well, because there was another agent by the name of Cerberus with that code name who was after him, who he thought was our agent, but it actually wasn't. So now the British are on the ship and they're interrogating Osamu right now to figure out how this guy died. All of a sudden, he notices that the woman with the kid at first, who said she was sick earlier in the episode, and that's usually an indication of what's going on with Joker Game. Whenever they focus on a regular civilian, it always ends up going that route. The lady said she was sick, and right now they're also questioning her and everybody on the ship as well, as he notices that her name was something along the lines of Mrs. Glaze, and he saw that name on the program for the ship as well. We find out that she was actually Cerberus, and she was the one that poisoned McLeod. The reason why she poisoned him is because when McLeod worked for MI5, which is British intelligence, he worked along with her husband, who was a German spy. You know, spy games happen, and he ended up killing her husband. So she became a German spy in order to get revenge on him, and she was able to tail him to the ship to extract her revenge. The British are also looking for McLeod because of his decrypting skills, and they want to get him back because he was careless and some of his information got leaked. And you know, whenever you leak information, that's usually not a good thing when you're a spy. So the British want him back as well. However, she was able to get on the ship and succeed in killing him by poisoning him and getting revenge for her husband. And she had a picture of her husband and Morgan together, and it's kind of insinuated that the two were friends, and then one of their jobs kicked in and one of them had to kill the other. But this is what I was talking about with Joker Game, that if they would have took just 2 minutes to expand on this a little bit more, to show us the backstory of these characters, it would have been a little bit better. It would have had a little bit more weight on why you should care about why this woman wanted to kill this man, besides, you know, killing the father of her child. So they show a funeral scene, but it didn't really come off as well as it could have. And again, I know this is coming off as a bad review, and I don't want to say it's a bad episode, but you gotta call a duck when it's a duck. It was a bad episode because it just keeps falling into that same line of problem, solution, out of nowhere surprise twist that pretty much wraps everything up in a bow without any type of resolution. Just how quickly I just got to the point of this episode, even though it was stretched out in 20 minutes, that just seems like how everything got resolved. So basically, this McLeod guy was on the boat and he was actually trying to evade the British because they were going to probably kill him or put him in jail anyway, so he changed his identity. However, you got this German spy in the form of this lady by the name of Cerberus, or the code name, who was able to find out who he was because he had like a distinctive type of ears. Like she said that even if you do plastic surgery, you can't change how your ears look. And her calling that dog was a kind of a distraction and kind of like bad luck at the same time, because it was her dog. However, she had a picture of how he originally looked in the dog's collar. And when the dog got near him, she called and tried to startle the dog to get away, because maybe if he would have grabbed it and petted it or something, she would have saw that picture in the neck and her cover would have been completely blown. However, she was still able to successfully succeed in killing them by doing the poison. Now, the last bit of the episode, I have to admit, confused me a little bit, because after all is said and done, you know, the British find out that McLeod is dead, and they're still looking for Cerberus. Cerberus is still on loose, and now we know who it is. She offers to turn herself in to the British now that she's extracted her revenge, and she leaves her child and the dog with Osamu. And it's kind of weird, because when he does that, you know, he takes the child, he makes the dolphins come up again to make her happy. And she kind of looks at Osamu and she gets a vision of him holding up her daughter, and she sees like a vision of her husband and how he was with the daughter, as she even questioned who he is. Like, you're a spy too, so you're more likely hiding your identity. Who are you? They kind of leave it open. I mean, it seems like they were trying to insinuate that maybe he was her husband, but even though they did show a funeral, or at the same time, maybe she was just thinking about it. But it was kind of weird that she would just give herself up and just give her child to this man out of nowhere. It was kind of frustrating at the same time as well, because again, just as abrupt as I came into this review about it, that's pretty much how the story went out as well. Yuki always knows the answers. Our agent just pretty much just has to point somebody out, and they always had an answer to who it is without any type of struggle. And then you had the end of the episode with some type of twist. But this one was just the absolute worst, because this was literally the end of the episode. I'm sorry that I couldn't give you guys a better review, but I just had to work with what I had with this episode. I mean, I'm really disappointed by it, because I was kind of regaining faith in Joker Game as a series last week. But I can understand why a lot of people have dropped it at this point. But at this point, we got, what, 5 more episodes to go? So if you're going to stay on the ship with me, I'll stay on the ship with you and continue to review it until the end, because you never know, it could end up pretty well. The end is always paramount, so maybe it'll have a good ending. That's all I can hope for at this point. I've been waiting out for an agent to actually turn on the D agency. That hasn't happened yet. I've been waiting on a death. That hasn't happened yet. I've been waiting on an agent to actually be in trouble, and we did get that one episode, but it was cleaned up just as fast as he got into the trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and end the review here. Again, thank you guys for joining me as always, because you can be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. Be sure to join me tomorrow as I review Bungo Stray Dogs. I'm very excited for that episode. And if you liked anything I had to say in the video, go ahead and hit it a like. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, as I bring you more content daily. So thank you very much once again. It's your boy Infrar-Ed signing out with the Scott Report. See you soon.